Okay, I'm Garrett, obviously. My presentation is on my passion, Lego. So, I'll more specifically be talking about like the history of the company and like how it got started and stuff. So, the person who started the company was a carpenter. His name was Ole Kirk Christensen, who owned his own carpentry business. But times were hard, and he had to like close down his shop and dismiss all of his workers. And then soon after, his wife died, so he had to like raise all 4 of his children by himself. But he had all the extra like leftover wood from the shop, so he decided to use it to make wooden toys to make a living for his family. So like that duck is just one example of some of the toys that he made. His toys are actually like such good quality that he soon had the attention of this wholesaler, which is like a person who wants to buy a whole bunch of like a product and then sell them to businesses all around, like around the area. So like he got a deal with this wholesaler, and business was going good until the wholesaler went bankrupt. So he couldn't sell the toys anymore, but he decided to sell them himself, like around the area, which was going pretty well until like they started to not sell as good, and he decided maybe it was because his company needed a better name. So he was thinking about how the Danish words leg godt meant play well, which is basically the message that he was trying to convey with his toys. Like he wanted kids to have something good to play with, so he abbreviated those 2 words and called his wooden toy business Lego, which is obviously still the name today. But in 1942, a storm caused his workshop to burn down. But with the help of one of his sons, Godfred Kirk Christensen, they rebuilt the factory. And then years later, he heard about this plastic modeling machine, which can basically be used to mold plastic. Pretty self-explanatory. So he took a chance and bought this machine for his company. And he used it to make like small plastic toys, little tractors, and plastic teddy bears and stuff like that. But he felt like something was sort of missing. He thought about how all the toys of that day were like pre-made with no room for like imagination or creativity. So he wanted to produce something that kids could, really have fun with and create themselves instead of just like buying a toy and that's the way it is, you can't like do anything special with it. So he used the plastic modeling machine to produce little plastic bricks, and so that ended up being the Lego system of play, which is basically a system of interlocking plastic pieces that you can use to like build buildings, towns, stuff like that. And with the help of a new airport that was built nearby, they could sell the toys internationally. So they were really popular, but then Ole Christensen sadly died on March 11th, 1958. But he left the business in the hands of his son, Godfred, who ran into like another issue. He found out that like the older Lego pieces, as you can see in that picture there, since the bottom of them were just sort of like an open hole, the pieces would easily slide apart if you like picked up something and like tilted it or turned it upside down. It would just like fall apart. That was because there wasn't enough friction. So he came up with a new design that had like little circular tubes in the bottom. They used friction to keep the pieces from sliding apart and falling apart and stuff like that. Yeah, next slide. But by like, the 1960s, they were thinking even bigger. They wanted to make like a big attraction, a big amusement park, some place where people could just go and like experience the Lego, basically. So the first Legoland was built in Billund, Denmark in 1968. So like basically now kids can like build their own little Lego towns, make buildings and stuff, but they didn't have anybody to live in these Lego towns. So Lego released the first Lego minifigures, which are basically just little plastic people to like go with the buildings and stuff that they sold with their products. The first primitive minifigures were kind of just like that, just like yellow heads with no like faces, torsos with no posable arms, and like you couldn't move their legs. But they came out with a newer design in 1978, which is the still design that we use today, with a plain smiling face, movable arms and hands and legs. And like I said, we still use that today. Next slide. And like also around this time, they were sort of experimenting with new like Lego themes, like in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Themes like Lego Town and Space, which are basically just different categories of Lego products. So like different building styles. And it wasn't until 1999 where they started using licensed themes like Lego Star Wars, and more recently Lego Minecraft was a popular one. Basically, like licensed themes are based on like movies and popular games and shows and stuff like that. So that basically concludes it for the history part. Now I'm just going to talk about why it's my passion. Well, it's been like my hobby since I was 5 years old. And I plan to like keep collecting them and building them into like, my future because I don't know, it's just a really cool thing to experiment with and like use your imagination and creativity to build something cool. Like this here, this is one of mine. I just like it because it's kind of like a good distraction from school and everything. It's just kind of like a different world almost. You just step into it and build whatever you want, use your creativity and stuff. So do I have like any questions? Joe.
What was the first thing you built? What was the first Lego thing you built?